My name is Steve Dove. I'm the retired athletic director after 15 years at Edina High School, and I'm very honored to be a part of the MnIAAA Hall of Fame. I was born and raised in Appleton, Minnesota, a small community out in west central Minnesota. Played junior high basketball. After practice, a lot of times in the elementary gym, we'd put a rock in the door so we could come back after lunch and break into the gym, turn the lights on, and play some more basketball. And then started playing the guitar. Played the guitar since 9th grade, and we put a rock and roll band together. After graduating from Appleton High School in 1966, I went on to continue my education at Concordia College in Moorhead. Graduated in 1970 with a major in history and political science and a coaching certificate. I tried out for the basketball team. Sonny Gulsvig was a longtime coach at Concordia, and I tried out. Went through the fall practices with some of the guys, and Sonny called me in the office and he said, Steve, you're a little bit slow, but you sure can't jump. So I got on an intramural team, and the intramural team was a bunch of football players and myself, and we won the MIAAA Conference Championship of intramural teams for 2 years. A lot of you might remember that was when draft boards were very popular. And in December of 1969, a bunch of friends of mine were sitting around waiting to see what number was going to get pulled out of this big bowl, which they did during World War II. I was number 16. I reported for active duty at Fort Ord, California in September of 1970. I finished out my obligation there, and I came back, and I had a 4-year obligation remaining with the military, and I joined the National Guard. And I got my commission as a second lieutenant. I enjoyed being in the field artillery, and I stayed in there and made that a career, retiring after 30 years of service as a lieutenant colonel in the year 2000. I got my first teaching job in Murdock, Minnesota, a small community west of Willmar, and my first teaching contract was for teaching senior social problems, junior world history, 9th grade civics, 2nd year Spanish, 1st year Spanish, driver's education classroom and behind the wheel, football coach, assistant basketball coach for $6,550. And the first year I was head coach, we won 2 games. The second year, 4 games, and then the third year we went 7-2. From Murdock then, I was offered the job at Glencoe High School as 9th grade football coach and assistant basketball coach. We really had a very good run with boys basketball. We were in the state tournament 3 years in a row. I was a Region 4A Coach of the Year. Athletic director at that time was a man named Jerry Stile. And Jerry was the athletic director, and he was also on the Minnesota State High School League board. And Jerry was really one of the role models for me as far as saying, you know what, that's might be something I want to do in my career, being an athletic director. I was very fortunate enough to get a job working with the Minnesota Gopher men's basketball team in 1980, where I got my master's degree in education. I went to Golden Valley Lutheran College. The coach there at the time was Flip Saunders. Unfortunately, that journey only lasted 3 years because the college shut down. Now I'm kind of trying to decide what my career path was going to be. And the job at Inver Hills Community College opened up, and that lasted up until 1989. At that time, I knew some people at the University of Minnesota, and I spent 2 years at the University of Minnesota as an intern. I had a chance to stay on at Minnesota, and a longtime friend of mine that I'd coached against when I was at Glencoe, John Blumley. John called me up and said, Dover, the athletic director's job is open at Edina. I think you need to apply. Started the job in Edina, and I just come off of active duty. And I got there the very first day of fall sports were registering. Now keep in mind, I've never been a high school athletic director before. It was a little bit of a challenge that first year. As the years progressed, I made some changes, and then I did something that hadn't been done before in high school sports. I hired a full-time trainer and equipment manager. Second week I was on the job at Edina, the previous athletic director, Howard Merriman, said, Steve, let's go out for lunch. And Howard said, Steve, you know, if I could leave you with one bit of advice. And he said, take the time to hire good coaches. Our kids had fun. They enjoyed their experiences wearing the green and white. We went through a budget cutting process, and people looked at athletics and said, well, we need to make some budget cuts. You know, Steve, what can you cut in athletics? So I did a school board presentation. I put together a spreadsheet on the budget. And to the amazement of our school board, they didn't realize that athletics encompasses about 1.7% of a district's annual operating budget. Guess what? We didn't make any cuts. We started a Athletic Hall of Fame in 1997. And I'm also proud to say I was inducted into the Hall of Fame here 2 years ago. The other thing about being an athletic director at Edina, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fellowship and the friendship of the other athletic directors. We all got to be a family and a support mechanism. Whether you have some challenges and you call another AD, that was a big part of the family fabric that we had. And that's the big thing going into the MnIAAA and the organization of athletic directors. You've really got a tremendous support system by this organization. And I would have to say it's one of the best state athletic directors, administrators, organizations in the country. After retiring from Edina in 2008, my family and I moved to Pepin, Wisconsin, south of Red Wing, and we bought a restaurant called the Pickle Factory. After owning a restaurant for 10 years, going through the pandemic and the labor shortages that seem to persist in the hospitality world today, sold the restaurant in July, and now ready to close that chapter. At the age of 74, that journey is over, and we're heading into the fourth quarter, maybe into that 2-minute warning, and we're going to move on from there. I've got 4 kids and 9 grandkids with number 10 on the way. So family has been very, very important. I'm very proud of all the kids and my spouses that have been a part of this journey all along the way. And of course, the journey was really much more meaningful having the MnIAAA as a part of that support system that I talked about earlier. So thanks to all. I would also like to thank my 2 administrative assistants at Edina who have been a very vital cog in the wheel of Hornet Athletics, Donna Paulin and Lori Hill. The big thing is the former coaches that we still stay in touch with that are still there, and a lot of coaches are retired. What that Hornet family and my immediate family have meant to me in my career and been such a vital part of my journey.